Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm really glad you could join us for another part of our series, Albums for the Ages. This is where we journey through records that have really shaped and inspired Don Phondeaux. Now, if you're not familiar, Don's this incredible creative force. He blends music, storytelling, cultural expression, known for these really introspective reflections and amazing curated soundscapes. And Albums for the Ages is where Don revisits records that have stuck with him, ones that keep revealing new meanings, new emotions every time he listens. For Don, these deep dives aren't just, reviews. They're really personal looks at growth, nostalgia, and just the timeless power music has to move us, whatever season of life we're in.
And this is episode 4 for everyone listening. Today, we're really getting into Frank Cassino's debut full-length project, Something From Me. It came out back in 2017.
Yeah. Something from me, when you listen, what just hits you is this real sense of hunger and this almost audacious confidence, huge ambition. But it's not just raw feeling, right? Mm-hmm. It's backed by genuinely world-class lyricism and production that feels, both polished and really powerful.
Yeah, exactly. And what's so interesting about it and why it connects so much with someone like Don is how it captures this really specific, almost cinematic snapshot of a young artist, Frank, obviously, but also maybe a young creative like Don at the time, sort of mapping out his own journey in real time. It's a masterpiece in that way. It manages to be super personal, telling his story, but also completely universal. The striving, the self-belief. It felt like Frank was giving us his blueprint, and maybe it became a blueprint for others, too.
So, okay, why this album, then? Why is this one an album for the ages for Don? He's mentioned nostalgia has been visiting him a lot lately, and that leads him back to certain lines from Frank Cassino, lines that hit him way back when. It's almost like the album still holds an answer for him,
Right. And Don himself says he can't quite remember the exact moment he found Frank's music. Was it the whole thing video? That thing was everywhere for a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe a guest verse that just grabbed him. But whatever it was, he remembers that voice, that delivery. It just cut through. And the key thing is, Something From Me arrived exactly when Don's own ambition, his mindset, really needed a soundtrack. It wasn't just music playing. It was like the pulse driving his own goals.
That makes sense. And here's something really interesting you pointed out. Initially, Don didn't really see Frank Cassino as like an introspective lyricist, not primarily. But then he found Something From Me was just incredibly intimate, really vulnerable, actually. How does an artist with that kind of strong, confident image pull off something so personal?
That's a great point. It really speaks to Frank Cassino's depth, doesn't it? Because, yeah, the public image is often that kind of swagger, almost untouchable. But this album, it peels back layers.
Yeah.
Don talks vividly about it being the soundtrack to his late nights, his campus adventures with his friend Fatso. They even had a name for that period.
Oh, yeah.
Empty Budget Litness.
Empty Budget Litness. I love that. That's perfect.
Right.
It just paints such a clear picture. Hustling for cash, but absolutely refusing to miss out on the fun, the moments. Sleeping on campus, showering at friends' places, turning study nights into adventures, that whole vibe.
Exactly. That mix of, scarcity but boundless optimism. And through all of that, all those experiences, Something From Me was apparently crucial. It kept Don's confidence up. It was this constant sonic reminder, that the grind, no matter how tough or broke they were, it would pay off eventually. So the album wasn't just songs. It became like this personal symbol of hope, of determination for him. Frank's lyrics delivered like that.
Yeah.
They validated Don's own hustle, made him feel seen.
And what's really striking is how that same album, rooted in those Empty Budget Litness days, still resonates so strongly for Don now. He says when he listens today, he still feels that same hunger, that same aggression, and it still fuels him, even as he's charting completely new paths.
Absolutely. And there's a new layer of wisdom he finds in it now with each listen. He calls it poetry for this justice Don is seeking, which is quite profound.
Wow.
So it's not just nostalgia. It's still a working blueprint for him, how to stay ambitious but also grounded even when things get really tough. It just shows the timelessness of it, how the message kind of grows with you. Frank's way of balancing that drive with introspection, it really lasts.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how the more Don matures, the more he appreciates Frank's just unwavering self-belief, that swagger in the delivery. It's like this absolute confidence where failure just didn't seem like an option in his world, even if realistically it might have been. That conviction just pours out of every track. It's almost like manifesting success through sound.
And it's crafted so well. It's not just attitude. Every bar still hits hard. The production, immaculate, creates this whole vibe.
Totally.
And the lyrics, like you said, they're worth digging into, studying almost. This is the kind of music that, keeps the car running late at night, keeps the hustle alive, always ready to ground Don as he's climbing. It's a constant source.
Okay, so let's get into some specific tracks then, the ones that really stood out for Don. First up has to be Whole Thing, right? The intro, the big single. Now, the remix with Ricky Rick definitely went far. Huge track.
Big time.
But Don says the original, it still hits with this unique force, that smooth aggression over that heavy pounding production.
Yeah.
And that line he always comes back to, we want the whole thing. It's not just wanting stuff. It's like total commitment, demanding what's yours.
Yeah, that production too. So stark but effective. Those booming 808s, the hi-hats. It was defining that sound. Frank's flow just cuts right through it. Then you've got Christine's interlude, which is interesting for a different reason. It's not about being perfect. It feels almost raw, like a perfectly imperfect take.
Right.
Frank starts freestyling, painting this picture, then kind of mumbles up, but it doesn't feel like a mistake, It feels human, like you're listening in on the process.
Yeah, like a peek behind the curtain.
Exactly. That vulnerability, showing the rough edges, it adds so much charm, breaks down any idea of it being too manufactured.
Grounds it.
Yeah, exactly. In lived experience. A subtle but strong move.
Okay, next, 2021. This one's different again. Spoken word over this really suspenseful, kind of chilling production. Like a confession, almost. Talking about risky moves, desires, chasing success. And for Don, this track instantly takes him back to those nights with Fatso, back to the empty budget litness. That eerie sound just matches the high stakes, the sort of secretiveness of their hustle back then. Frank's vulnerability, talking about the pressure, the dreams. It just clicks with Don's memories of that time, the grind, the risks, believing in something more.
Yeah, I can see that. And then Re-Up, Don sees this one as like the direct soundtrack to his work ethic.
Right.
It's smooth, yeah, but cinematic. It paints the hustle not just as hard work, but as something strategic, almost artful. Don apparently said if anyone wanted to understand his mindset, his drive, he'd just play them Re-Up.
That says a lot.
It does. The beat's got that steady rhythm like the grind itself, and the lyrics are about that constant effort, right? Replenishing your drive, your resources. It's the long game.
Totally. Okay, then Loki. That one has such an iconic groove, that bounce.
Oh, yeah. Instantly recognizable.
And it just paints this picture of ambition, passion, always moving. Frank's flow is so witty on this clever lyrics that Don says just stick with them every time.
It's deceptively simple, right? Because it sounds catchy, easy. But the wordplay, the rhymes, it's complex. He's showing off his skill, but also telling that story of making moves quietly, confidently, low-key. It weaves it all together brilliantly.
Yeah, it really does. And then Sauce, definitely a highlight, especially with Pretty Ugly's verse.
Pretty Ugly killed that verse. Yeah.
The whole track has this slow, deliberate pace over this really hard beat. Don calls it the hustler's prayer.
It fits.
It captures that spirit, dedication, sticking with it, almost like a spiritual thing with a grind.
And Pretty Ugly's flow on that.
Yeah.
So unique. It complements Frank's energy perfectly. They bounce off each other.
Yeah.
The production feels heavy, serious. It lets them really state their case, their belief in themselves. It's an anthem.
For sure. And finally, let's talk Hittas. This one feels different, more vulnerable.
Yeah, definitely one of his most heartfelt moments on the album.
It's a dedication, right? To the friends who stuck by him, who were there for the journey. The vibe is dark, yeah, but smooth too. And just full of real emotion.
And the production creates that atmosphere. It's not just a beat, it's part of the feeling.
Right. And Frank showing that side, acknowledging his support system. It adds so much depth. It's not just about ambition. It's about the connections that make it possible.
Exactly. Shows that even the most confident need their people. A crucial layer.
So bringing it all together, what are the core takeaways here?
Well, stepping back, the big themes running through something for me are clearly ambition, that real confidence, and just pure, unfiltered self-belief. It's not just talk. You feel it in every part of the album. Frank really laid down a statement.
Yeah, and I think that's why it works as an anthem for anyone who's on that grind, It's more than just music. It feels like a blueprint. How to hustle, climb, but stay true to who you are, where you came from. It values the journey itself.
Exactly right. And the wisdom in there, the production that still sounds amazing today, the poetry in the lines, it all still moves Don. It's that constant reminder. The journey, even when it's hungry, rough, challenging, that's what gives the win its real meaning. The process shapes you.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we'd love to hear from you listening. What album or project sparked your hustle? Was there a soundtrack to your own ambitions, or maybe one that just perfectly captured a special time in your life? We really want to know. Share your memories, maybe a favorite track, down in the comments. Let's keep inspiring each other.
Thank you for joining this Doncast Deep Dive into albums for the ages. For more stories, playlists, and reflections, visit the Don's domain at donphondeaux.com. And don't miss compilations from a Don for more curated journeys through sound and story. Enjoy loudly. Stay sound.